learned from that recording. Miss Abby finally found the battle of St. Martin's. 7 years before, First Lady Leonora had been running Port Royale behind the Chancellor's back, and made major alterations to the government without his consent, and at times without his knowledge. He was nearly deposed and was close to losing the 6 territories. That's why he struck back, gathered a small army of mostly untrained civilians. The battle began at St. Martin's, the new theocratic center of the Port Royale. From the recording, the girls could hear the cathedral bells ringing and the crashes of stone buildings and glass were destroyed in the fight. Beatrice turned her back again. She did not need to be reminded. She already remembered that late August day too well. Even Miss Abby lost some respect for First Lady Eleonora. She could hear the First Lady in the archive broadcast, telling the world that all was well in Port Royale. And later playing the victim when the images of the fights were broadcasted. She had tried to make the territories remain silent. Cape Emerald and Oxenview would never forget, however. The pages of the battle at St. Martin's were torn out, and Sophie stuck these into the shredder as well. The inspirations to anger and fear supposed to dissipate. Beatrice sat there, sedated, as Sophie removed the salvaged lesson and pasted it in the blank paperboard in the back of the chapter. Beatrice read it. Never follow blindly. She said nothing, just thought to herself, why not just stop following bad leaders? Principles, faith, values can be used against you. Yet Miss Abby was still a sucker for a conscience bind. Any protection Elizabeth received from that tactic came from Beatrice intercepting the messages before Miss Abby got them and pulling out her claws on whoever sent them. Anyone who claimed they were some sort of infallible mouthpiece of God was a liar as far as Beatrice was concerned. And besides, what good First Lady who claimed to be a firm believer in a patriarchal religion would attempt to depose her own husband in the name of faith? Even if he was in the way, it was hypocrisy. Even Miss Abby realized that Eleanor was picking and choosing which rules to follow and enforce was wrong. Initiating chaos is not holy, was the last lesson Beatrice read as Sophie pasted it on the page. The Battle of St. Martin's was a violent reaction on the Chancellor's part, but the First Lady regarded it as some sort of omen, a confirmation that her actions had been just. No doubt Miss Abby wanted to sort out this specific file because it was the reason why Beatrice had a difficult time trusting Port Royale, even when the city was restored to its former glory, even when the deposition only lasted a few months before the Chancellor George and First Lady Eleanor were reunited, as if nothing had happened. New Victoria never kept a record of the battle. Hertsky, the only district that was not taken by the First Lady in Cape Emerald, the most devastated from the struggle, were the only ones with Oxenview to keep any records of the battle. All districts were loyal to Port Royale, and Beatrice had always had to wonder how. The last file in the intervention was the newly automatically printed daily report. This was transcribed from the security footage and featured the earlier incident in the kitchen. The group read it, and Beatrice cringed along with Elizabeth, who flushed with embarrassment. Miss Abby ran the file through the shredder, and Miss Sophie removed the lesson from the bottom deposit. Admit mistakes, remain calm, do not worsen chaos, hit reset. All eyes turned towards Beatrice, who was no longer in a hypervigilant or explosive state before everybody exited the library, turning the lights off as they returned to the guest room. It was Miss Abby's protocol to isolate until everyone had their act together. On their way there, the group ran into Tess and Kristoff. Each had tennis rackets in hand. Izzy still had the kitten, and the Mount Hazel representative noticed this and snapped, "Can you stop taking the kittens?" Elizabeth frowned at Tess and asked Kristoff, "Where's Mariana?" "On the ferry back to New Victoria," he said. "Already?" Elizabeth gasped. "Where are they gone?" "I'll need to go in an hour or so. I will be pitching my latest invention to the board today," he said. Hertsky was famous for its scientific and technological advancements. "Can I play around with you guys?" Elizabeth asked, glancing at Miss Abby for approval. "No!" Tess snapped, a look of disgust in her freckled face. "What? It's fine," Kristoff assured her. Tess dropped her rack and told him, "I'm not playing if she is." Kristoff made a face and turned towards Elizabeth. I'm sorry. I don't have much time and I really wanted to play against Tess. She's better at it. No offense. None taken, Elizabeth muttered as the two continued downstairs to the tennis court. She's the reason I hate it here, we heard Tess complain, and Beatrice rolled her eyes as she continued towards the guest room. Every single time. I say we replace this useless unit with a bunch of allies once we leave, said Beatrice, perching on the window seat. Nobody made any sign of agreement. Izzy and Miss Abby were still dressed up with no place to go. Elizabeth opened a drawing pad and began working on a sketch. Izzy at least was allowed to go downstairs with Sophie to the topiary garden by the tennis court. As long as Elizabeth was not with them, none of the representatives would notice they were there. Tomorrow you are going to work with Elizabeth, said Miss Abby. You must learn how to appear normal. How about not? Elizabeth remarked, glancing up from her drawing. I don't want to go and she don't want to bring me, so it's fair, said Beatrice, crossing her arms. I'm not putting my job in danger, said Elizabeth. I'll keep acting up until you pull me out of the parallel, said Beatrice. Over there, Chris is in none of their records. You'd hate to see Elizabeth fail 'cause of me. Miss Abby clasped her hands together. The light of Elizabeth's desk lamp reflected off the brass-colored buttons on her dress. She glanced at either of them. Fine, but you must still observe Beatrice. For right now, we must play hermit. I am quite surprised that First Lady Eleonora has not called for us yet. Sophie and Izzy returned an hour later. They did not save us any lunch, and it is well past that time, but I will put together a sandwich. I promise I won't burn anything else, she added with an awkward laugh. I am not surprised at that, Miss Abby said. I hate to inform you, Miss Sophie, that along with being on lockdown, I want everyone to fast as well. All this for an accident? Sophie exclaimed, placing the food on the desk next to Elizabeth. For the lying and the violent acts, we brought this on ourselves. Everyone stared at Miss Abby in disbelief. It was just like her to treat all infractions with at least an ounce of severity. The light outside continued to fade, but nobody turned on another light. Just sat in silence as the sun set on Port Royale, and the red fiery light danced across the night sky, shining off the waters of the bay like a bloody apocalypse. Beatrice gazed out the window and contemplating someday burning the ferry, the same way she had burned Richard's Bridge.